Hi students, today this is main lesson 8. Let us continue to study some more properties of invertible function. I introduced the invertible function in the last class. If f is a function from x to y, then this function f is invertible if this is bijective, and we also defined the invertible function like this. Suppose there exists another function y from from y to x, that is, domain of this function is x, codomain is y, and inverse function, domain is y, codomain is x. Then the condition is g of f. This is x equal to I, then domain of this f is x, so it is ix, and f of g x, this is iy. So this is the definition of invertible function, and I have given you sufficient number of examples on invertible function. Today in this lesson, let us study two theorems, important theorems related to invertible function. The first one is this: if a function f is invertible, and if invertible means it has inverse, so that inverse is unique. That means a given function cannot have two inverses. So this is one important theorem. Let us take it as a theorem. If f from x to y is invertible, then the inverse of f is unique. So this is the theorem. That means a given function f cannot have two inverses. So let us prove this one. So given f from x to y is invertible. So this is given. Now what is the theorem to be proved? F inverse is unique. Let us suppose that it is not unique. That means there must be at least two different functions. So suppose G and H be two inverse of F. So what should happen is GOF of X, this must be equal to I, and F of HOF of X, this also must be I only, because both are inverses. Therefore G of F of X equal to I, and H of G of F also must be equal to I. And in case of inverse function, G of F and F of G both are one and the same, commutative also. Now let us consider GOF, this equal to I. Now what I do is, I will take the composite function with H. See here, this means actually F of H, this is also I only. So what I do now is, I will take the composite function of this with H. Therefore G of F of H will be equal to I of H. But I of H is H only. This is H. Here now I can use associative property. Therefore this is G of F of H equal to H. Now f of h is I once again. Therefore g of I equal to h. But once again, G of y is also G only definition. So G equal to H. This proves G and H are one and the same, which proves inverse is unique. So this implies inverse of F is unique. So this is one important theorem based on invertible function or related to inversible function. Now there is one more theorem. This theorem is not given in your textbook as a theorem, but it is given as an example actually. Now let us take the next important theorem, that is inverse of a composite function. That composite function is the composite function of two invertible function. So the theorem, next theorem is this. Next theorem is this. Let f from x to y and g from y to z be invertible. Then the theorem says, see, it is x to y and y to z, so it should be g of f inverse equal to f inverse g inverse. This is the theorem. That is, inverse of composite function g of f is, it is also a composite function, but it is f inverse of g inverse. First, try to understand how it is defined. GOF is actually from x to z, and if you take this one g inverse, it is from z to y, and f inverse from y to x. Therefore, this is defined, but its domain is here y to z, then here it becomes z to y inverse. So domain becomes z, this becomes codomain. Here domain becomes f here, x and y. So here what happens is z to y, then y to x, so z to x. So that's the thing. But let us prove this one. Proof is very simple. Now GOF means what? It is the inverse of G of f. Now by definition, GOF of GOF inverse, this will be definitely equal to I, because GOF is a function, its function, inverse function is GOF inverse, this is equal to I. Now what you have to prove is GOF inverse equal to F inverse of G inverse, we have to prove. Now consider this one, F inverse of G inverse of GOF equal to F inverse of, here F inverse, F, consider this one, F inverse of G inverse of GOF. Now here we can write this equal to, now this equal to F inverse of, then we can bring these two because associative property, G inverse of G of F. But G inverse of G is I, therefore it is F inverse of I of F. And you can take here either this or this, both are one and the same. Even we can take, say, like this. But this is now I of F is F only. So F inverse of F. But this is I. F inverse of F is I. Now look here. GOF of GOF inverse is I. And F inverse of G inverse of GOF is also I. This implies GOF inverse must be equal to F inverse of G inverse, because inverse should be unique. Therefore, this proves the theorem. So these are the two important theorems related to invertible function. So with this actually we are concluding functions. Of course we have to work out the questions that we will do in supplementary lessons. Now let me tell you some of the important aspects of invertible function, because in the next chapter, that is inverse trigonometric function, we are using the concept of inverse functions. Now consider f is a function from, let us say, 1 2 3 to say 2 3 4 5. Suppose you define f of x equal to say x plus 1, then definitely f of 1 is 2, f of 2 is 3, f of 3 is 4. So it is 1 1, but it is not onto because of this 5. So given function is not bijective. Given function is not bijective, but we can make it bijective by redefining it. This is the concept we should understand very clearly. Suppose now I take f from 1 2 3 to 2 3 4, removing this 5 from the codomain, this becomes bijective, which means a given function can be made bijective by either confining the domain or confining the codomain. That means trimming it, removing some of the elements, we can make bijective. Let me take one more example. Say, let us take infinite set. Say f is a function. F is a function from, let us say, f from n to n defined by f of x equal to 2x, x belonging to n. Now, this is 1 1. Even you can draw the diagram. See here, if you take this as n, so this is n, 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, etc. So 1 goes to 2, 2 goes to 4, 3 goes to 6, 4 goes to 8, etc. So it is very clear f is 1 1, but it is not onto because all the odd elements here 1, 3, 5, etc. left out. But the question is, can you make it bijective? It's already 1 1, but what you have to do is you have to make it onto. Yes, that is possible. What we have to do is you redefine f from n to 2n. 2n means you remove all the odd numbers, take only even numbers. Say for example here what you have to do is say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and here 2n means actually you take 2, 4, 6, 8, etc. Now you can very well see here x goes to 2x. So 1 goes to 2, 2 goes to 4, 3 goes to 6, 4 goes to 8, etc. 5 goes to 10, etc. So it is both 1 1 and 1 2. So this is a very important concept. I told you earlier also, given a function we cannot say whether it is 1 1 or 1 2. It is not possible. But we can make it 1 1 and 1 2 by suitably adjusting the domain as well as codomain. Let me conclude this with one more example. So this is one aspect which you should know very well. Any function given, sometimes it is possible to make bijective so that we can define inverse. Say another example is this. Say f is from R to R defined by say f of x equal to mod x. So x belonging to R. You know the definition of mod x. It is absolute value function. So this will be equal to minus x, x negative, and x if x is positive including 0. So here what happens is, if you take f of minus 1, this is 1 only, f of 1 is also 1 only, like that all the negative elements are also going to positive elements. Positive elements anyway they go to positive element. So this is not 1 1. It is not onto also because here in the codomain, domain, all the elements are going to positive. Therefore, it is converging to positive. For example, if you draw the diagram, you will get the function like this. Here is, let me use the number line here like this. This is 0, this negative, this side positive, say 1, 2, etc. Here minus 1, minus 2, etc. All the numbers. So here what happens is, if you take 0, then 1, then 2, etc. Here minus 1, minus 2, etc. So by definition, 0 will go to 0 and 1 will go to 1 and minus 1 also will go to 1. So 2 will go to 2, minus 2 also will go to 2. Like that, all the negative elements will come this side only. So it is neither 1, 1 nor 1, 2 also, because these elements are left. So they are not. So you cannot define inverse function for this. Now, suppose you change this r plus, even including 0 also you can make. In that case, what happens is, this becomes it is not r, n, it is r. So here what happens is, this will be x only, x belonging to r plus, x belonging to r plus. So it becomes identity function, 1 goes to 1, 2 goes to 2, any number between 1 and 2 also, any fraction or irrational, rational, anything, they are going to the same element. So it is both 1, 1 and 1, 2. So it can be made, it has inverse. This is how a given function can be converted into bijective map by suitable redefining the domain and codomain, and then we can define the inverse. So this concept I am telling once again, we are going to use in the next chapter. Now let me go to the last part of the first chapter, relations and functions, that is called binary operation. Binary operation. Before defining, let me just give you an idea what is the meaning of binary operation. Since we have studied function, now it is convenient to define the concept of binary operation using function only. Let us take a function, say I will use this symbol because this is a symbol we are going to use. Star is a function whose domain is n cross n to n. Meaning, you have to take one element from here, for example 1. Then you have to take one more element from n, say let us say 2. Then star of this, that means this is the function, star of this, if this goes to n only, after the operation, it should be n only. Meaning, the domain is actually ordered pair here. It is an ordered pair, 1, 2. Codomain is only one n here. That means it is a single element. Then it is called binary operation. For example, this star if you replace by plus, let us say plus of 1, 2. Suppose the definition is 1 plus 2. That means what I am doing is, I am taking an element from n, I am taking another element from n only, because n cross n. Then the operation is addition. Say this you get 3. Now ask yourself, where is this 3? This 3 is here only. So this type of operation is called binary operation. Let me give one more example. Say into multiplication. Let us take for example 2 from this one, 3. So definition is 2 into 3. This is 6. Now ask yourself whether this 6 is here. Yes. Therefore it is binary. And I have taken only some specific examples. Instead of this, you can also take for example plus of say AB is A plus B. And you know that from this high school onwards, sum of two natural number is once again a natural number. So this element will be in n only. So definitely it is binary. Similarly here you can take AB. Suppose you take now minus AB defined by A minus B. Then it is no more binary, because so you can take minus of 2, 5. This will be 2 minus 5. This is minus 3. And this minus 3 is not here. So it is not binary. Therefore, binary operation is very, very simple. Of course, symbol we are using is cross product is the domain. And here it is single set actually, n, without cross product. After the operation, the element should go here and it should be here only. then it is called binary operation. Let me give one more. For example, if you take division, division is not a binary operation. Say for example, you take 2 8. This becomes 2 divided by 4, 8. This is 1 by 4. So once again 1 by 4 is not here. So it is not binary. This is not binary. This is not binary. Whereas this is binary. This is binary. So like this, it's a very simple concept. After you remember only this much. After the operation is performed, if the resulting element is there in the same set, it is binary operation. Otherwise, it is not a binary operation. Now, let us define the binary operation. So, definition is very simple. A function, so this is the definition. A function star from A cross A to A is called binary operation. Binary operation denoted by star of AB. I have to take star of AB because it is A cross A. This is equal to, we write A star B, and A B belonging to A. You can write this way also, because A B belonging to A you can write, or A cross A ordered pair AB belonging to A cross A. Both are one and the same. A B belonging to A. So this is the definition. Let me take some example. Let us say addition defined on R cross R to R is a binary operation. It is a binary operation because you take, for example, addition of x, y, binary operation. What is the definition? Plus of x, y equal to x plus y. So this is a binary operation because plus of x plus y equal to x plus y, and note x plus y belongs to R because whenever x is a real number, y is a real number, sum of two real number is always real number. So this element will be here. So it is a binary operation. Similarly, you take minus, say minus defined by R cross R to R is binary operation. What is the symbol we use? Minus of, say, x comma y. This will be equal to x minus y, and x comma y belonging to R. You take any two real numbers x and y, difference of two real number is always real number, and that real number is here, therefore it is binary. So these are very simple examples. Now let me take, see, it need not be plus minus, it can be any operation which you can think of. So that is very important. Say star is an operation in on Q. Q means set of rations defined by A star B equal to AB by 2. AB belonging to Q. Is it binary operation? Is it binary? So is star a binary operation? Let us check. So here you have to understand, the moment I write star is a binary operation on Q means function is from Q cross Q to Q. If it is Q, then it is binary. Suppose here it is not Q, then it is not binary. How to check it? So now we have to consider like this. Consider A star B. Definition says it is AB divided by 2. Therefore, AB divided by 2. Now ask yourself whether AB divided by 2. Of course, condition is AB belonging to Q. Now, if A is a rational number, B is a rational number, what about the product of two rational number? It is a rational number. Any rational number divided by 2, once again it is a rational number. So definitely AB by 2, this will be in Q. The moment it is in Q, we have to say that it is binary operation. This is binary operation. Now let me take a few more examples, because what is very important here is, given a function, we have to decide whether it is a binary operation or not. So next question is this: star is an operation on n, that means set of naturals, defined by a star b equal to a to the power b, a b belonging to n. Is it binary? Is it binary? Now you have to ask yourself whether a to the power b for any 2ab, is it in n or not? That is the question. Definitely it is in n, because you take any natural number a to the power another natural number b, number may be very very large, but this belongs to n only. Say for example 3 to the power 10. So it is a natural number, because a natural number contains only integers, positive. Now I will change the same question. Defined on z. Defined on z. Is it a binary operation? Therefore, please note, given any operation, you cannot decide whether it is binary or not just by taking the definition. So now you see a star b, a b belonging to z. Is it a binary operation? Answer is no, because suppose you take a equal to say 3, b equal, because z can be positive and negative, so this is say minus 3 or minus 2 you take. Then according to the definition, 3 star minus 2, a star base, 3 to the power minus 2, this is 1 by 9. This does not belong to z. 1 by 9 is not a integer. So definitely this is not binary. Therefore please note, given any definition operation, you can't immediately say whether it is binary or not. First you have to ask what is the given set. Then you have to decide. Deciding is very simple. You have to just see whether this is in the same set or not. If it is there, it is binary. If it is not there, it is not binary. Sorry. Now let me give one more example for the same definition of function. Say I will change this to r. I will change this to r. Is it binary? Is it binary? Now you may think it is binary because in r even fractions are there. For example, if you take 2 star minus 3, definitely it is 2 power minus 3, it is 1 by 8, so definitely it is in r. So you may conclude that it is binary, but once again it is wrong, because if you take a equal to say minus 1, because you can take anything, and b equal to, b is, it is in r, so I can take even 1 by 2. So minus 1 star 1 by 2, according to definition, it is minus 1 to the power half. And minus 1 to the power half, last year you have seen, first PUC, this is a complex number. It is a complex number. So complex number is actually, r is actually subset of complex number. Anyway, this I does not belong to r, so it is not binary. Therefore, you should be very careful when you are to decide whether a given function is binary or not. So very important thing is, you take the operation whatever is defined, take any two element cleverly, then decide whether the element obtained after the operation, whether it is in the same set or not. So that is going to decide whether it is binary or not. Students, let us conclude today. I have introduced the concept of binary operation. It is sufficient if you are able to decide whether a given function is binary or not. In the next lesson, that is ML9, that will be the last main lesson in this chapter. There we are studying different types of properties, actually properties of binary operation. For example, commutative property, associative property, existence of identity, existence of inverse. These are the four major concepts which are coming under binary. With this, the syllabus for the first chapter will be over. Of course, we have to go to exercise and solve the problems based on this. That we will do in the supplementary lesson. If you have already subscribed, it is really good. If not, please subscribe my channel and please recommend and share this with your friends. So, bye.